Slapped.
8 greatest hoaxes of all time. From mysterious and unexplained photographs of monsters to the greatest wartime deception mission ever carried out, we count the 8 greatest hoaxes of all time. The Loch Ness Monster Surgeon's Photograph. The surgeon's photograph is arguably the most well-known picture taken of the Loch Ness Monster. The photograph was allegedly taken by London gynecologist Robert Kenneth Wilson on a trip to Loch Ness. The photo became worldwide sensation when it was first published in the Daily Mail on the 21st of April 1934, and despite several attempts over the years to discredit the photograph, it was still considered by many to be the best evidence supporting the existence of the Loch Ness Monster. In 1994, a man named Christian Sperling confessed to his involvement in the hoax shortly before his death at the age of 90. Sperling claimed an acquaintance, Marmaduke Wetherall, hatched a plot to get back at his employers at the Daily Mail, who ridiculed him after he reported to find Nessie tracks, which turned out to be the imprint of a hippopotamus foot umbrella stand. Sperling said he was asked by Wetherall to create a fake monster using a toy submarine and a piece of wood. The model was photographed in the shallows of the loch and the plates were handed over to Wilson, who took the photographs to the press. The Cottingley Fairies. In 1917, several photographs surfaced that captured the imagination of the English population. Frances Griffiths and Elsie Wright, 2 young girls from Cottingley, England, claimed to have taken a series of 5 photographs that proved the existence of fairies. The pictures even caught the attention of writer Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who used the photographs in an article he wrote about fairies for the Strand magazine. Over time, interest in the photographs gradually waned until the early 1980s, when both Frances and Elsie admitted to faking the photographs by cutting pictures of fairies from a popular children's book. Curiously, Frances, who passed away in 1986, maintained that the final photograph taken was actually a genuine image of real fairies. Life on the Moon. In 1835, the New York City newspaper The Sun printed a series of 6 articles detailing life on the moon. The articles claimed that the astronomer John Herschel had used a particularly powerful telescope to witness winged humans living in temples of sapphire, unicorns, and even beavers that walked around on their hind legs. The crazy story was reprinted by newspapers all over the world, and it took 5 years for the author Richard Adams Loch to finally admit that the whole thing was a load of nonsense. Alien Autopsy. In the 1990s, entrepreneur Ray Santilli released footage of what he claimed was the autopsy of an alien recovered from Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. The footage gained popularity, and on August 28, 1995, Fox Television released the footage under the title Alien Autopsy: Fact or Fiction. The program featured several opinions of experts, including makeup artist Stan Winston and forensic pathologist Cyril Wecht. Despite several of the experts declaring the footage to be fake, some claimed that their testimonies were distorted in the final edit. The program was so popular that it was rebroadcast 2 more times. In 2006, Santilli admitted the film was fake, but stated that it was a reconstruction of footage he claimed to have seen in 1992. He went on to say that the original film had deteriorated and become unusable, but that a few frames of the original were embedded in the newer, staged version. Naked Came the Stranger. In 1969, an independent publishing company released the first edition of Naked Came the Stranger, a novel that spent 13 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list. The book was the idea of Newsday columnist Mike McGrady, who was so disgusted with the oversexed and smutty best-selling novels of the time that he set out to prove his point by deliberately penning a book so void of social value and merit that it surely could not be taken seriously. He enlisted the help of 24 of his colleagues to write 1 chapter each, instructing them all that there should be an unremitting emphasis on sex. The writing credit for Naked Came the Stranger was attributed to Penelope Ash, a fake author portrayed by McGrady's sister-in-law. The book quickly began to sell, with readers devouring the idea of an unsuspecting housewife author living out her wild fantasies through her pen. The book sold more than 20,000 copies in just a few months. When McGrady decided to reveal the hoax, the controversy only fueled interest in the book, and by the end of the year, Naked Came the Stranger had sold more than 100,000 copies. the Fiji Mermaid. In 1822, an American sea captain by the name of Samuel Barrett Eads purchased an unusual creature from Japanese sailors. At the time, it was common for fishermen from Japan to create mermaids for religious rituals by stitching the upper body of a monkey to the lower half of a large fish. After the death of the sea captain, his son sold the creature to Moses Kimball of the Boston Museum. In 1842, Kimball took the mermaid to New York to show the famous showman P.T. Barnum. Barnum had a naturalist examine the creature who concluded that although he did not believe in mermaids, he could not see how such a specimen could have been faked. To generate hype for the mermaid, P.T. Barnum had one of his associates check into a hotel and show the creature to the owner as thanks for his hospitality. Word quickly spread to local newspapers who ran the story, and public curiosity for the creature quickly grew. The mermaid was put on display for a short time in New York before it mysteriously disappeared from public view. In the 1860s, part of Barnum's museum burnt down, and it was believed that the exhibition was destroyed in the fire. Operation Mincemeat. In 1943, during World War II, the British Defence Forces carried out one of the greatest deception missions of all time. Operation Mincemeat was the brainchild of a committee led by Flight Lieutenant Charles Camondelet of the Royal Air Force and Lieutenant Commander Ewan Montague of the Royal Navy. Using the recently deceased body of a 34-year-old Welshman, Glinda Michael, they set about forging fake documents and devising a convincingly elaborate backstory to create a soldier who never existed, Major William Martin of the Royal Marines. Major Martin was released into the waters off the coast of Spain and drifted ashore soon after. The corpse was found by a local fisherman who promptly alerted the authorities. The corpse was clothed in Royal Marines battle dress and a coat and found with a mysterious briefcase. Inside the briefcase, several top-secret documents were discovered detailing plans by the Allies to invade Greece and Sardinia. The documents eventually found their way to German High Command and Adolf Hitler, who was convinced with the authenticity of the find. The Germans redirected soldiers and equipment from several campaigns in anticipation of the secret attacks. On the 9th of July 1943, the Allies invaded Sicily, but the Germans, still convinced by the top-secret documents they had intercepted, remained poised for invasions in Greece and Sardinia. The Germans refused to act for 2 more weeks, and by the time they did, it was too late. The Allies had gained an important foothold on continental Europe. The War of the Worlds. In 1938, panic gripped the US as a radio broadcast announced that Grover's Mill, a small town in New Jersey, was being invaded by aliens. The program was actually a Halloween special of the radio anthology series The Mercury Theatre on the Air, directed and narrated by actor Orson Welles. The broadcast was an adaptation of the classic H.G. Wells novel The War of the Worlds, delivered in the style of a breaking news bulletin. The news bulletin style caused so much confusion with the public that in the days following the performance there was pressure for the Federal Communications Commission to regulate the way in which radio programs could be broadcast. Question time! If you could create a hoax, what would it be? How would you go about fooling the public into believing it's true? The best, most creative answers will feature in our next Q&A. What do you mean there's no Loch Ness Monster? As always, thanks heaps for watching. Now remember, as soon as this video goes live, I'll be sitting in the comments section below, answering all your questions and having a damn good time for 1 hour, so be there. And this is the SlappedHam signing off.